welcome to Would I Lie to You, the show that separates the truth from the twaddle. On Lee Mack's team tonight, a comedian, actor and TV legend, best known for presenting Family Fortunes. We asked 100 people his name. Our survey said... Les Dennis! And a presenter who once hosted a show about a pop-up restaurant. I assume that's a restaurant where they serve only toast. It's Alice Levine. And on David Mitchell's team tonight, a TV presenter who has a new novel out. I'm not saying he's plugging it a lot, but I've got one of the rare unsigned copies. It's Richard Osman. And a comedian who used to work in the complaints department for Ofcom. Let's see if she can give her old colleagues a bit of work tonight, shall we? It's Lou Sanders. We begin with round one, Home Truths, where our panellists read out a statement from the card in front of them. To make things harder, they've never seen the card before. They have no idea what they'll be faced with. It's up to the opposing team to sort the fact from the fiction, and Richard is first tonight.
At school, because of something I once had in my lunchbox, I was given a 7-syllable nickname.
Lee's team.
You strike me as the kind of kid that you would have had a 1-syllable nickname. All right, what was in the lunchbox?
A sandwich, a snack.
What was the snack?
Well, there, Lee, we find 6 of our 7 syllables.
Ah, brilliant. What's your 6-syllable snack?
You can think of a 6-syllable snack, surely.
I can, yes.
The big one, the big one.
The big one. Away you go.
The big packed lunch, 6-syllable snack.
I've thought of a 10-syllable one.
Wow. Right.
A salt and vinegar packet of crisps.
Well done. You're so pleased, aren't you?
That's more than you need, though.
Yeah. I missed it. What was the snack?
So I'll give you the first syllable.
Mine are all too long. A packet and a half of cashew nuts. Another 10. Ridiculous.
I'll give you the first syllable if you want it.
Please do.
Dare.
Oh, it's Dairy Lee.
Triangles.
Nearly.
Dairy Lee. Go on, then. You can do the next 3.
Lunchable.
Dairy Lee Lunchable?
You remember Dairy Lee Lunchables?
I do, but I think they're after your time, no offence.
I am... How dare you? I'm 27.
Yeah, we're not talking about feet, we're talking about years.
So just be clear, the actual nickname was...
Dairy Lee Lunchable Boy.
How long did the nickname stick?
Oh, I would say... I mean, it was a good 2 weeks.
Did you have a nickname before that?
I was always called Rich. That's so bad, isn't it?
And what about after that?
Oh, then it was the artist formerly known as Dairy Lee Lunchable Boy.
Were you the tallest kid in the year?
Yeah.
And they didn't think there was a tall nickname that would be more relevant for you?
When it comes to those nicknames, the decision-making process is very disordered.
Yeah.
There's no meeting where someone gets to go, this is ridiculous, this child is extremely tall, and yet we're focusing on a snack.
I'm thinking that, say you're on the playing field, you're playing football, it's a long nickname to say pass the ball, isn't it?
Dairy Lee Lunchable Boy.
That was not my nickname on the football pitch.
What was that?
What was that?
Sub.
All right, what do you reckon? Alice, is he telling the truth?
No nicknames only last 2 weeks. That's what's so devastating about a school nickname, isn't it? They really linger.
Did you have one, Alice?
I actually did have one. Envelope bum.
We don't want to know how that came about. What are you thinking, Les?
Well, I think Richard is so good at wordplay and using syllables. It sounds like the kind of nickname he has given himself.
Lee, what are you going to say?
The tallest kid in the school has never had a nickname, because I did say before and after, but no, nothing to do with my height.
People quite liked me, Lee.
It's a lie.
No, that's a lie.
Richard, they're saying that it's a lie. Were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
It was a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Richard wasn't given a 7-syllable nickname at school because of something he had in his lunchbox. Les, you're next.
Right. After an incident in a hotel room, the crew of Celebs Go Fishing wrongly believed I was having a breakdown.
David's team.
I mean, it might be the truest thing I've ever heard, Les. Who were you on with, Les?
There was, let me see, Ian Botham, Fern Britton, Linford Christie, and lovely Shane Lynch from Boyzone.
So you're doing this fishing show, what
show.
happens?
And one day I had to go back to my hotel room because the next job I was doing was a TV drama. So I had to go and do a Zoom read-through.
It's a tribute to your versatility, I must say, that on the one hand...
Oh, I thought you were going to say a man of his age could use Zoom.
It's a tribute.
It's a tribute to... As a man like you can even turn a computer on. I mean.
So I went back to the hotel room and I set Zoom
What sort of
up.
hotel, Les? Mid-range, budget?
No, a really lovely individual boutique.
Lovely.
We were in Scotland.
So, and they got it right?
Yeah.
Because some hotels, they get it wrong.
Really, really lovely.
Rob, are you doing an interview for a website?
I'm getting some colour, I'm getting some background.
So the runner took me from the fishing in my waders back
Linford Christie took you... That's above and beyond. It really is.
So the lovely runner took me back to the hotel, and I had said that I would be ready to go back in about an hour.
Right.
So somebody was going to come and pick me up to take me back fishing. So I'm on this video call, and I've done very well because I'm on quite early. And you know that thing when you...
I think you said, I've done very well because I've been working since the late 70s. It's a really top-of-the-range laptop, actually, because I've done very well.
So I'm on this video conference call,
Right.
and it gets about halfway in, and I've got my big scene with an actor who's playing a bully. And I think it's the production manager that knocked on the door ready to get me back. But I was right in the zone thinking, no, I'm just going to ignore and I'm going to carry on with this scene. So she heard me go, Sean, you've been like this since we were kids, ever since that time with the lads in the garage. And I'm not putting up for it. You're a bully. You're an absolute bully, and you're nothing but a coward.
Can I just say... I'll tell you what, all I can say is thank God it was a straight offer and not an audition.
So you're shouting and
I'm
screeching,
shouting,
yeah.
and she's thinking, oh, my God, Les Dennis is having a breakdown.
Oh.
And so she goes downstairs to call the producer. I find out later, and she calls and says, I think Les is having a bit of trouble because he's wandering around his room shouting to this bloke called Sean, and there's clearly nobody there. It's just him ranting on his own.
And the producer's going, oh, not again.
What are you thinking, Lou?
I think it's truth.
You don't just think it's true, you think it's truth.
I think it's true. But then again, I'm not really sure.
What do you think?
I believe anything Les says.
Well, that could be a weakness in our position playing this game tonight.
David, you are captain of the team. What are you going to say? They think it's true.
I think it's true as well. And if it's not true, I can only hope that you will be offered a drama like that if you haven't already been, because that was a great audition for it. So.
Les, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I would like to say that I was telling the truth.
Oh.
Yes, it's true. The crew of Celebs Go Fishing did believe Les was having a breakdown. Lou, you're next.
OK. A singing coach once refused to give me lessons because he said my voice was so bad there was nothing he could do for me.
Please, team.
Gosh.
How old were you, Lou?
About 25?
So quite recently, then?
Yes.
I'm kidding.
Did you sing a song to exhibit your skills?
Yeah, he had a microphone in the middle of the room and said just, you know, belt out of tune to see where I was at, sort of musically.
What was this for?
I was in a band, yeah.
What was the band?
Jeff Leppard.
Jeff Leppard?
What is that? Is that a Def Leppard tribute band?
No, just five girls having a nice time.
But it wasn't a tribute band.
We did 3 of our own Def Leppard songs, and we did 1 Def Leppard song as a nod.
Do you remember the titles of any of those songs?
Yeah, Rocking in the Evening with my friend called Stevening.
I didn't know that was one of yours.
How did that go?
Rocking in the evening with my friend called Stevening.
I mean, the range is incredible.
You couldn't let the producers know that Lou's having a breakdown, could you?
Was it the band's idea to send you for singing lessons?
Yeah, so it's
And
just
how
me.
did that conversation go? Was it awkward?
No, because I knew that I was sort of limited in certain areas. I was a great front man. What do you call it? A front lady? That sounds rude.
You're a great band, but I don't like the look of your front lady.
What song did you do at the lesson?
It was the one from Mannequin. And, you know... I'll just sing it, and then you'll know it. And we can build this dream together.
You know, there were certainly some of the notes.
I think I need to stop you there, Rob. It's true. Yeah, but she could be good at acting.
But
Perhaps she's
maybe
got the
I'm
voice of an
bluffing.
angel and she's lying.
La 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 la.
I don't know, Les.
I now think it's a lie.
I think it's a lie.
You think it's a lie? I'll go with my team.
OK, saying it's a lie. Lou, truth or lie?
True.
Yes, it's true. Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. Now, this week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest. It's up to David's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Roger. So, Alice, what is Roger to you?
This is Roger. He painted my living room the wrong colour twice.
So Alice is hapless handyman. Les, how do you know Roger?
This is Roger, and he once gave me a lift to Family Fortunes on the top of his bouncy castle.
So, Les's bouncy buddy. And Lee, what is your relationship with Roger?
This is Roger. I once made him spend 20 minutes that he didn't have looking for a dog that didn't exist.
David's team, where would you like to begin?
So, Alice.
Yes.
He painted your living room the wrong colour twice. So what was the first colour?
The first colour was, I believe, called Railings. It's a kind of navy blue from a very posh paint brand.
And what was the colour that you wanted?
I wanted a dusty kind of plaster pink.
What?
That is quite different.
It's quite different, yeah.
And the second go?
I got a pink that wasn't a dusty plaster pink.
You like a bit of pink, don't you?
I love a bit of pink, yeah.
And then what happened?
You're wearing pink. He's not being creepy. That's why.
With having a Lancastrian accent, everything sounds a bit wrong, doesn't it? You love a bit of pink, don't you?
To be fair to Roger, the first time it was your fault, but the second time it was my fault.
How are you painting pink over very, very dark blue?
I'm glad you asked that. I don't know, but thank goodness you can't see it through anymore, because I would have been livid.
There must...
That's a great response. Well, I'm glad you asked. Because I don't know.
I'm so glad you've given me the opportunity to tell you I have no idea. It is much harder to paint light over dark.
Well, this was the thing, and that's why I was so... I mean, I was pretty livid.
What colour were you?
I was... yeah, it was sort of a kind of rosé. And then I feel like I kind of kept a lid on it, but only because Roger said he'd sort it out and was very apologetic.
You should have taken the lid off. You'd have seen what he was painting.
If it turns out that he is a painter and decorator, I'm just glad that he's turned up. I'd also like to say it's the longest I've ever heard a painter and decorator not talking.
This is very interesting, Lee, that you're speculating so much about the profession of the person who you know to have been someone you spoke to about a dog.
Now, Alice,
Yes.
you were wanting a pink. How was there miscommunication where you're asking for a pink and he gives you railings?
Sure. When he came round to do the quote, he came... I've got very high ceilings, don't want to show off, so he did his quote, quite expensive, because, you know, period property. And so worked it out, wrote it in his little book. Then I went away, then he did his stuff. So that's how I think it was just next to another customer's decision.
Right. So you first called him out on it when you saw the railings up on the wall?
Yeah, so that's when he was very apologetic and said, I'll sort it as soon as I can.
So what went wrong the second time?
So the second time, I sent a link to the new colour,
Yes.
but I sent a link to a colour that I'd been considering
Yes.
when you're swatching it and everything.
Yes.
So that's when it's
That
my
was
fault.
your
because
error.
So
That was my error.
So did you have to pay for the second
Well, now I
one?
just live with that colour.
Oh, you just left it up?
Well, because we've been doing this for about 3 years now, haven't we? It's taken forever.
You've got really high ceilings.
All right, who would you like to quiz next?
So, Les, the lift on the bouncy castle, how did that come about?
Roger worked on Family Fortunes. You know, people always say to me, where do you get those families? Well, Roger was one of the guys that used to get the families.
You make it sound like he went round shopping centres with a net.
He auditioned them.
Right.
So, on this morning, we're staying in the hotel that's near the studios in Nottingham, and I'm worried because the cab hasn't arrived to take us to the studio, because I like to get there early for the production meeting.
On Family Fortunes?
Family Fortunes, this is, yeah.
OK. Is there a lot of preparation?
Rob, you're saying it like you host a show about the Hadron Collider. This is easier than Family Fortunes.
Yeah.
A lot easier.
He's outraged
I
by
mean,
that.
I would describe this as any idiot could do it.
I think I've proven that. So, you've got to get to work.
Yeah, I've got to get to the studios,
Yes.
and the cab hasn't arrived. So Roger said, I'll tell you what, we'll go in the van. Look at his face. he was working on the show.
Yes.
But in his spare time, he used to provide coconut shies and... coconut shies and skittle alleys and also bouncy castles for fetes and for kids' parties.
So you're late for Family Fortunes.
Yeah.
Les is the man who finds the families, but he also has a bouncy castle
No,
company.
I'm Les, that's Roger.
Roger.
As I was saying, any idiot could host this show. Any idiot.
I'm proving it's not as easy as it looks.
Do you know what? If only you'd have got here earlier and learned the names.
And he stays at the same hotel.
He's at the hotel, and so are two of the writers and the warm-up man. We're all there.
With his van, with his bouncy
With
castles.
his van, with his bouncy castles.
OK.
And we all get in the van. The warm-up man, Bobby, and I sat in the back, and Bobby just sat on the skittle alley. And I thought, well, the bouncy castle looks like the most comfortable place, so I sat on the bouncy castle.
Can I just ask, did you take your shoes and socks off?
It wasn't fully up, it was deflated. So we get in the van, and when we get to the studio, the security man doesn't come out first, so Roger gets his bugle out. And
Yes.
goes...
Why has he got a bugle?
Well, Roger is a musician as well as having this leisure. So he plays the bugle, and the security guy comes out and says, "What have you got?" And Roger says, "I've got two comedy writers and a warm-up man and a game show host in the back." And I actually said, "If it's up there, I'll give you the money myself."
Oh, come on!
All right. Now, what about Lee?
Yes, so
remind
Lee,
us,
remind
Lee,
us.
what is it you're claiming?
I once made Roger spend 20 minutes that he didn't have looking for a dog that didn't exist
What was he late for?
for work.
And what does he do?
work as?
Bouncy castles. We've already been through that.
He's got another job as well as the bugles, the bouncy castles, and the taxi service to Family Fortunes.
And the painting.
And the musician.
He's absolutely recession-proof, isn't he?
He also works at a lockkeeper's cottage.
A lockkeeper's cottage.
He's a lockkeeper.
Now, what about this little dog?
Yes.
What little dog?
The little...
Oh, the dog, yes. I was having a walk, as is my right. I mean, who's going to stop me?
It's an open prison.
Yeah.
You do what you want.
So now I'm having a walk in my local park, and I was caught short. So I popped into an enclosed area of trees and bushes.
Yeah.
And I did what I needed to do.
Number 2?
I can't remember which tree it was. I saw a little dog appear. Now, I thought to myself, I know what happens here. Somebody's going to come in after that dog. And sure enough, a man started coming in after the dog. So the dog's now looking at me weeing against the tree, quite shocked to look, as if to say,
what?
How are you doing that with both feet on the ground? I can see Roger coming in. But, I quickly zip up.
While you're weeing?
No, I was able to stop my wee because
you're stopping
there
mid-wee.
are people that can stop mid-flow. Some people can do it. I have that kind of control.
I can do it, but I don't like to.
Luckily, I was coming to the tail end, so I zipped up quickly, and he's now come in, and he sees me as I'm sort of appearing from around the tree. So what do? I panic, and I shout, Sheba! Sheba! And I start pretending I'm looking for a dog.
I see.
So you then wasted 20 minutes of Roger's time, as we know. But listen, we can all stop mid-flow. Yeah. It's fine. For 20 minutes...
Who said I stopped for 20 minutes?
Continue.
What now? He said, well, I'll help you look. And he goes off and looks in another area with trees and stuff to see if the dog's over there. I take the opportunity to finish the wee. I'm not going to lie. His dog stays there looking at me as if to go, you liar. After 20 minutes of him seeing me getting upset, but I wasn't upset, I was acting, I eventually had a plan, because I thought, I can't go from Sheba! Sheba! to... I said, I'm going to get going. Very hard to make that join, isn't it?
I'm going to get another dog.
You know what I mean? So eventually, when he was far enough away, I went, Sheba! Sheba, is that my phone? Hello? No way! She hasn't. Has she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
Her body had been found by the police.
She'd found her way home.
All right, we need an answer. So, David's team, is Roger Alice's hapless handyman, Les's bouncy buddy, or Lee's dog detective?
I think Lee.
You think Lee?
No, I'm kidding. Was it inflated, the bouncy castle, Les?
No, I said that before. It kind of deflated, but it was still quite comfortable.
You see, that I don't believe. I think it's either deflated fully or it's fully... I don't think it'll be in a sort of mid-state shoved in the van next to the coconut shy.
And also, when they were talking about painting and decorating, Roger looked very cross.
He did look...
And he does look like he has his cup of tea, milk, 3 sugars. And that's classic builder stuff.
I think he didn't take kindly to that stereotype. We think Alice, don't we? I think we're going to go with Alice.
You think it's Alice? Roger, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Roger, and I took Les to Family Fortunes, where he would sit on the bouncy castle.
Yes, Roger is Les's bouncy buddy. Thank you very much, Roger. Which brings us to our final round, quick-fire lies, and we start with... It's David.
During lockdown, I let my hair grow so long that I would occasionally tie it up in a man bun.
Please, team.
How long did it grow?
I got to, I suppose, about sort of there, and there was... You could get a good handful of it, and it was gnawing me around my neck, because it got quite hot at that time of year, and I thought, it doesn't matter what I look like.
If it didn't matter what you looked like, why didn't your wife have a go at cutting it?
I was nervous of that. I
mean, if I was married to you, I think I would be worried on your behalf if anyone was near you with a sharp instrument.
You're suggesting that she secretly wants to kill me?
Not secretly, because she's told me and Rob.
Fair enough.
What did she think of the look? Did she like it?
She didn't mind it as much as me.
As much as she minded you?
Me, yes.
Did you do anything like answer the door to postman or anything during this period?
I probably did.
Did they give you a slight look at, like, that's not the David Mitchell I know?
It says David Mitchell, not David Beckham.
I think that David would be so averse to wearing a man bun that
Agreed.
whatever disaster a homemade haircut would achieve, I mean, he would rather do it with a pair of shears than that sitting on top of his head.
So you're saying that it's a lie?
I think I am, based on that knowledge and that knowledge alone, and not the fact that I zoomed in many times and he didn't have that haircut, I am saying that
So we're saying it's a lie. David, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was telling a lie.
Next, it's Les.
I like to keep my old fingernail clippings so I can use them later on.
David's team.
What do you use them for later on?
Well, if I've had a sandwich
Oh.
and I've forgotten to get hold of a toothpick.
So you keep your old fingernail clippings.
I kind of get, if I get a really good one that's got a nice hook in it,
Yeah.
then I'll save it for later.
Save it for later.
As you cut your fingernails, you're thinking ahead for when you might next need to pick your teeth.
Yeah.
But you don't think another way of thinking ahead would just be to have some toothpicks with you all the
But
time.
the thing about toothpicks is they don't quite get in, do they? They kind of...
Les, are you single at the moment?
Now I'm married for the third time.
Oh.
Yeah, he's already told you twice.
Does your third wife know about this?
She does, and she does the same reaction as you lot do.
What do you think your fourth wife's going to think about it?
So what about floss?
How does she feel about it? All right, Richard, what are you thinking of this?
I'm appalled. It's
What about you, Lou?
I'm hoping it's a lie.
Yeah, we're all hoping it's a lie.
The thing is, if Les doesn't do it,
Yeah.
someone had to make it up.
yeah.
And I almost think that's sort of equally unlikely that someone in their job in television thought, I tell you what I'll get Les Dennis to say on TV. That he cuts his fingernails and uses it to pick his teeth.
Somebody-
And I think that's almost as perverted as actually doing it.
What are you going to say? Truth or lie?
We're going to go lie.
Yeah, OK,
We'll
you're
go
saying
lie.
it's a lie. So, Les, it was a controversial one. Everybody's on tenterhooks.
Yeah.
Truth or lie?
It is, and I promise not to do it anymore now.
I'm afraid it's true. Les does keep his old fingernail clippings so he can use them later. Oh, that noise signals time is up. It's the end of the show, and I can reveal that David's team have 2 points, Lee's team have 4 points. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night.